G'day guys and welcome to 2020. It's such a pleasure to be back on Pod TV. If anyone can't hear me or anything, just give us a holler. So I'm really selfish and you're gonna have to stick around to see why. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes, but what we're going to quickly run through is the normal quick bit of admin. Obviously we've got a plethora of courses this year. The courses include dry needling, Simon Barthold's masterclass, reverse those orders. So it's Simon Barthold's masterclass in early February, 14th February. Strength in dry needling and FMT, which you can come to both or one or either at the end of February. So I think it's the 22nd of February. And then we've got that course in Melbourne, early March. And then we've got strength and conditioning in Adelaide. So if you want to check out those courses, jump on podiatry17.com or jump on the Bridge the Gap business page and follow the links to do that. We're really looking forward to you guys. We are selling tickets. We've actually sold 60% of the dry needling course in Sydney. So Sydney nights, if you have not bought a ticket and you want to go, get onto that. Tito and Michael are legends and it's a great course. It was my second course and I really enjoyed it more than my first one. Not that my first one was bad, but it was really refreshing. And then obviously we've got the P20 in August. So you guys who haven't bought tickets, our ticket sale price has gone up to tier 2, which is $450 for a 2-day course. We've got a plethora of personal and professional development speakers from our industry and outside. So we really want to expand that, and then heaps of sponsors which we've already announced. You can jump on the page, but we'll start bringing that back to you guys and reminding about that. So don't hesitate to go to www.p20.com.au to get involved in that, guys. It's going to be a fantastic experience. We're really looking to put a banger of a conference together. So tonight we're going to talk about loyalty like I promised last week, and this will be a bit of a two-parter, but I'm going to say I am really selfish because I am having another baby. I look fantastic for it. Son is 38 weeks, but I'll be having a baby next week. So there could be a little bit of disruption. So please forgive us, but hopefully there isn't, but just I'm forward warning you guys. Thanks for your support and thanks for your patience if there is any issues at all. So let's get on with it. So loyalty. So this is a bit of one strike in the new grads, but maybe those people who've done a year and they're not sure where they stand. So this is one for everyone. Loyalty is first, it's foremost and about reciprocation. You've got to, when you want someone to be loyal as an employer, you've got to give them an opportunity. When you want to be loyal or get loyalty from your employer, you've got to give it, from your employer, you've got to give it. So let's just remember this is a two-way street. So someone who is blindly loyal is probably going to find themselves getting into roadblocks and maybe get to a point where they get really frustrated, or they're going to have their friends telling them they're losing out in some way, professionally or personally. But then someone who expects blind loyalty is probably over expecting. You can only expect that for so long. So the employees should trust that your employees should trust that you as an employer want the best for them, and you don't act out of self-interest. So there's always going to be this tug of war between the employer. Let's talk about pay. It's an easy example. Trying to get you employed for maybe the least amount of money. It's the truth. Capitalism. And you're going to be trying to get the most amount of money. And you get this. If anyone ever played Theme Park, that really old game, you used to do deals and there's two hands and they'd come in together and you bring it back and try and bring the hand across as far as you could. That's what it's about. It's this tug of war. But if you go into it as an employer and you're purely like, I need this new grad and I'm employing a new grad because they are the cheapest possible person, that's why I'm employing new grads every year, I don't think that's going to be the best outcome, and you might find you get a high turnover. Now, I'm not criticising everyone, but just an FYI. I'm trying to give both sides of the discussion. But if you come in as an employee and you're like, I need the most money possible and I blindly can only see dollar figures and zeros, then you're also doing the wrong thing. And you might also go, oh, they're trying to pay me cheaper. But you've got to look at the other things as well. If this employer is like, I'm going to give you mentoring, and they are, and I'm going to give you these CPD opportunities, those things are experiences that you should take on, and they have a dollar value as well, I guess you could say, in the bottom line. So make sure that it's not about, I'm coming to this job because I want this much money, or I want MSKs only, or something like that. You've got to find that middle ground and act that's going to be the best for your employer. You should always act best for your employer, but the employer should reciprocate that back to you. So when they stop reciprocating it, you probably find staff or you internally will start to feel like you shouldn't act in their best interest. You should start taking care of yourself. I mean, plenty of us have heard about that. So my question to you is, what does the word loyalty, and what would loyalty look like and feel like to you? So think about it. There's your thinking time. Have an idea. So if I was to give you a contract right now, how much loyalty do I expect of you? And how much loyalty do you feel you need to give me? How much deserving am I? So I went and did placement down in Canberra with Paul Flick. Anyone knows Paul? Shout out to Paul. Thank you, mate. Again, it was a great experience. Thanks for all you've given. Lots. And Paul sat me down and had a conversation with me and talked about this directly, and he said 2 years was a really good time frame for, I guess you could say, passive loyalty. So if you're going to stay in a business, staying in it for 2 years, after 2 years, you sort of should have that loyalty from your boss, and when you decide to move on or anything, there shouldn't be any angst or anything like that, because you gave them a lot of time, 2 years. If you were working for the person for 6 months and an opportunity came on that was really lucrative, that could be a problem. That could be something that, yeah, it's very lucrative, but you've only been working for someone 6 months and then you jump job, because what you'll find is you'll then jump job again when another lucrative deal comes on, and you'll probably find those jobs aren't satisfying. So don't do it for the money. The other one is if you're working for someone for a year and someone comes along and goes, hey, look, we're going to offer you, you're in a general clinic, we're going to offer you an MSK-based clinic, and that's something you really dream of doing. There shouldn't really be an angst in the employer if you're moving, one, far enough distance away. Like if you're moving down the street, it's a problem. But if it's been 2 years, that shouldn't be a problem to some extent. Depends how that runs, but I'm not going into that tonight. Some people will hate me for saying that, sorry. That needs context, guys, ignore it. But if you take a job across the other side of town at an MSK clinic, you've left a general clinic, so they're not worried about MSK stuff, and you've moved forward in your career. So that's something I think is really where that 2 year rule can be broken. But otherwise, guys, aim for 2 years, plan for 2 years, plan ahead that that's going to be 2 years, and set up your development process for 2 years, because anything under that, I think, isn't great loyalty. And you guys can all have your own loyalty, but that's just my opinion. I think I agree with that 2 year rule. So to the employees, as a leader, it is important to understand that every employee who enters your doors comes with different experiences, with some good, some bad. It should be your job to show loyalty as an employee first. So show them how you'll help them become the best, not just the best podiatrist, but the best person. So show them they can trust you, show them you can support them, and loyalty will come. So if you endeavour as an employer to absolutely try and make someone the best person you possibly can, not just podiatrist, you're going to find you're going to get loyalty reciprocated really, really strongly to people. And if you keep presenting them with opportunities to help them, you do that. As an employee, if your employer's doing that and you're pushing them away, once again, you're not being loyal to them, because they've got a structure and a system they're trying to help you through. And if you can't identify that, the employer should just tell you that I'm trying to help you here. Why aren't you reciprocating? And find that kink in that one. For those people that start their new year, it's your first job. It's a honeymoon period. I reckon first 12 months, even 8 months, is a honeymoon period where it's tough at the start, then you start to love it, then you move on. For some people, they start to hate it. If you hate it, you've got to find out why you hate it and then work it out before you start making those decisions and becoming disloyal, even in thought process. And that will lead down the path of just chasing dollar figures and jumping jobs for the next couple of years. So that's going on to what happens when an employee becomes frustrated. Leader needs to support them, but they can't support them unless you don't talk to them. And then an employee needs to assess the situation and work out how it can be fixed. So if you are frustrated and you feel like you're not being loyal, bring it back. Actually have a chat to them and work it out between the two of you. And you might not see eye to eye, but there should be more respect in letting someone go, hey, I think it's time, well, if they go, I think it's time I move on, you should support them through that moving on because it's probably the best thing for your business. Mike's just written, loyalty is about being truthful, I think, and having both parties know expectations and a clear contract. This means expectations of the employee, not just the employer. I think that's super important. When you can't, I'm sorry I keep coming from the employer sort of perspective, and I'm not an employer, but as an employer, you can't not be clear or then suddenly get frustrated with the employee if you haven't written those things down and you're not being clear about them, but then you're also not being honest with them about things. So if someone asks, I'm just trying to think of an example. If someone asks, hey, like if an employee asks, hey, is there any opportunities for me to move up the tiers in the next couple of years, in the next 12 months or something, or I really want to get to this point? Let's say up the tiers, let's just use that theoretically. Is there any chance to take on some management skills? And you go, no, there's definitely not. And then in 3, 4, 6, 12 months, you then employ a senior podiatrist over them who then takes on management skills. How do you expect that person to continue to be loyal? Now, you could go to them and explain it, but you never even said there was an opportunity. So make sure that you look internally and option those opportunities to them. They're not always, people aren't going to take, people will probably latch onto them, but then when you sit down and discuss them after maybe a week of them thinking about it, you might find, and they might find it's not for them. So guys, really, really important to keep the expectations between the employer and employee both way. Double-edged sword, two-way road must happen. Just because they leave doesn't mean just because someone leaves doesn't mean they're disloyal, I think. People leave, and this is going back and forth, people leave for the right opportunities sometimes, for the right reasons. Maybe they're really disheartened as a podiatrist, and that's not your business fault, they just really don't like the work. And that's probably a good person to support moving on to something and helping them personally improve or take on, because they're probably patients will smell it on them, we all know. They'll smell it on it and they'll move on and cause us, or cause the business friction, which is not what you want at all. So I'm actually going to record another part and put it up, and next week I'll put it up on the YouTube page, and obviously put the video link up, but I'll put this video up on the YouTube page as usual. But what I want you guys to know is, I think you need to set a time frame of how long you're going to give a position in a loyalty sort of stance. So how long will it take for you to know that you're happy in that position, or you're going to continue to give to that employer selflessly nearly before it becomes a one-way road? So if you don't think it's been reciprocated, whoever you are, whichever end you're at, there's something broken in that mechanism and you won't achieve loyalty at either end. I've got a few more points to bring up next week, so I'll continue this sort of short conversation. I might even jump one or two people on, but I'd love to hear people tell us what they think loyalty is in regards to a commitment to a contract, and the ins and outs of things they've done or experiences they've had with loyalty. I'd love to see people comment on this video, and so on and so forth. But Mike's written something else. We'll quickly jump in, mate. A regular meeting with free speak. Sorry, someone messaged me that. You need to hear what other person is. So he's effectively saying it's really good to have a meeting, and maybe have an unhinged meeting, I think you're saying, Mike, which is effectively you sit down and like, what's going on? Tell me how you're feeling. Be open with me. Let's just have a chat. Maybe you go to the pub and have a no alcohol beer, and you just, if that's your thing, no alcohol wine, whatever, and you just get your thoughts out and move towards it. I want to talk a bit more next week about, or in the next video, about helping someone develop as a person, and I think that's what you're getting at here, mate. Help them develop as a person by giving them the time to talk to you about things that may not be affecting work. They might be going through a divorce, they might be having a new child, and that might be
they might think everything's fine, but after 3 months, I can tell you now, kids are freaking hard, and they will fatigue you, and you'll find weaknesses in your armour or kinks in your armour. So give people the time to talk to you and play a little bit of psychologist, but you don't have to do it. Just sit there and listen to them, and that might be enough. And people will gain trust if you listen to them. So that's a really good point. I'm going to leave it at that tonight, guys. So remember to jump on the Podiatry 17 page and the P20 page. Get your tickets, guys, because there is only limited tickets across all those avenues. We've got a few more changes coming up this year. We think there's some exciting stuff that will help the community grow more. But if you've got friends who are podiatrists who aren't on the page, get them to join. WA, we want to bring something to you guys, but we need more members. We're in conversations with a few people, but the more reach we've got in WA, the easier it will make us to head out your direction. Otherwise, jump on board. If you have a great idea, remember we're going to provide a time slot for you people, you podiatrists, if you have something you're passionate about, to get on board and actually do it your own video session for 5 or 10 minutes or whatever you want and speak about your topic. We'd love to have you. If you know someone, nominate them, please. And then if you want to contribute, guys, to our conference, or you've got a business that wants to be involved, the P20 guys, definitely reach out to us and we'll make it happen. Otherwise, thanks everyone for contributing the last couple of weeks again to get the year off to a cracking start. We can't wait to have another screamer this year, thanks to you guys. Thanks, guys, and I'll catch you next time.